everyone. This is Dianne. Welcome to another episode of Biters.
And as always, your zombified 30-something Brian, what?
I have a feeling you weren't talking about the Facebook tone in the background on my computer.
No. What?
I know, it was kind of painful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It took some chomping at the bit, but all in all, I'm going to give it 2 haircuts out of 5.
Well, so I am giving it 2.5 spiked Volkswagen rabbits in honor of Easter. A 2.5 out of 5, and that's really low for me.
Yeah, I was very just, come on, man, like what? And we know what's coming. We've had really great impact episodes, and you can tell they're just getting ready. They're just kind of biding their time and getting ready for the big execution, dun dun dun, so to speak.
Well, and I know that James from Walker Stalker got his butt chewed by Michael Cudlitz for using the description filler episode, but this felt like a filler episode.
Yeah, and unfortunately, hey, I'm in. This is the thing about showbiz is we're ongoing talking about their craft. And, that's, I get it, because if someone was talking about my job and doing their stuff, I'd feel the same way. But I guess that comes with the business, and if you're in showbiz, you got to kind of expect critics.
Well, and even though we're giving it a fairly critical review tonight, we're still talking about it. So
that's right. Yeah, let's just get into it and kind of see where we go, because maybe we'll talk each other out of this.
Well, I've got some numbers from last week just so we can hit those real quick. So I finally have the live +3 for the same boat, the female-centric episode. It was 17.5 million in the live +3, so it was up by roughly 5 million viewers. And it had a 43% increase in that 18 to 49 bracket that they look at.
People are coming around for the end of the season.
Yeah. And then twice as far, last week's episode, same day viewing was 12.69 million. So they're holding pretty steady at 12 million on the same day. And the second was Talking Dead at about half of the viewership, about 6 million, a little over 6 million. And then the third was Real Housewives of Atlanta. So it still doesn't have a lot of competition.
It'll be interesting to see how Fear holds up during the summer.
I'm eager about Fear, and I'm fearful of Fear. Because we've talked about it a little bit before, and I do agree that this is the make or break episode or a make or break season for Fear.
I will say they have way cooler promos than The Walking Dead.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, once we get going here, we'll just say Walking Dead proper or Fear, because that's kind of how some of me and my buddies refer to it as Walking Dead proper.
There you go. I like that.
But their promos with them being in the water, and then when the bubbles go across their face and it's a skull underneath, that's pretty cool looking.
That was really cool. I really saw that for real for the first time tonight, like really paid attention to it and thought it was great.
But then I definitely dislike her dub over of saying, if you want to kill the monster, you have to be the monster. And it's
because that's so Carol.
Yeah, I was just say Carol said that about 3 months ago. Yeah. So
So it looks like, since we're kind of paused on Fear for a minute, I think you may be right. I think we're going to get the Asian woman and not the kid.
Yeah, I think so. She's clearly the more cut for survival. She's educated on what's kind of going on. She's light years ahead of anybody on the plane.
Yeah.
As to what's going on. And then tonight, she had that thing, I'm sorry, I got this last seat. It was your mom's seat. My
husband looked at that and he said, how could she say that?
Yeah, that's not nice. I mean, you're all going to die, and you're just like, oh, by the way,
yeah,
I screwed you out of your mom being with you.
Right. Well, do you want to talk about director and author
first?
Let's
hear it.
Okay, because I've got some stuff on the title that I think is interesting. So director was Michael Satrazemis. We've seen his name before. Interestingly enough, his only director credits are on The Walking Dead, so I think it's pretty cool that he's had a chance.
Homegrown talent.
Yeah, he's really had a chance to expand his range. And he did The Grove, which of course was a hugely affecting episode. So he's got a total of 6 directorial credits for Walking Dead right now, but I would have to say the Grove, out of all of the ones that were on his list, was probably the biggest.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. So, like, the Grove, like, I think back, and that's probably where I really started remembering the titles of episodes.
Yeah, I would have to say that's true. I agree with you.
You know, because that was, like, I remember The Talking Dead after that, and, like, Chris Hardwick came on, and it was just all, like, there was, like, no applause. It was just very somber. And, I can't remember her name, the actress's name that plays Carol. Melissa McBride. Yeah. She was on there, and they were crying, and everyone was having a moment, you know, and I was like, wow, this is like really where I understand and starting to remember the title names of the episodes.
Well, you know, and it's really funny because Chris Hardwick has taken to referring to The Talking Dead as everybody's group therapy session, and I think there's some real truth in that.
Yeah, I do. I think so. It's good. I've dug it. I've watched it ever since the first time it came on during season 2, I think, right?
I don't know, because up until like last week or the week before, I didn't have same day viewing. So,
yeah, I think it came on during season 2. I want to say it came on because it wasn't like right with it, and it didn't like pair well, and then it just kind of came out of nowhere. And they're like, "Holy crap, people dig this! It's real now." Because it didn't start with the show, and it didn't start at the beginning of a season. I feel like it started a few episodes into season 2. If anyone's out there who remembers, let us know on the Facebook group. Reach out, say, "No, dummy, this is when it started."
And if anybody has a particular episode of The Nerdist, I blew that, The Nerdist, let me try it again, Hardwick's podcast that they love, share that, because I've listened to a few. His interview with David Duchovny was great. So I'd just like to hear what other people are thinking about other podcasts.
Except ours is the best.
We've gotten some really nice feedback lately. Yeah, so
that and 515 Fantasy Football.
And don't forget This Conversation Rocks. So just another quick thing about Michael Satrazemis. He has tons of camera and electrical credits. On The Walking Dead, on other stuff like Vampire Diaries. He worked on the film The Crow with Brandon Lee. So he's got some pretty major credits in terms of camera work and in terms of electrical work on sets, but he really has only branched out into directorial efforts with The Walking Dead. And for the most part, I think they've been good. They've been really good. Cool. Then in terms of author, and we've heard both of these names before, Scott Gimple and Channing Taylor, who is a woman. Channing Taylor? Is that right? I think it's right. I had to jot it down while I was going across the screen because they're not listing them before the episodes anymore.
Yeah, it's getting kind of crowded.
Yeah. It's Channing Powell. And so we've seen multiple things from them, so I'm not going to dig too deeply into that. But I did think that I wanted to spring a new segment on you tonight. Uh-oh. So I thought we could do a featured cast member.
Featured cast member?
Yeah.
Who are we going to feature?
Well, so I picked Austin Emilio tonight, who's the guy who plays Dwight, the savior with the ironed face.
Okay.
And he actually doesn't have a lot of acting to his credit prior to this. He's got a little bit of stuff in some short films and a couple of films that it sounds like people have been aware of that I haven't been. One by the title of Everybody Wants Some, and one by the title of Weightless. He was born in Austin, Texas. He's 27 years old. Date of birth is April 27th, 1988. So he's just a kid.
He's a widow.
But, there wasn't tons about him. So if anybody wants to share or has some more insight into Austin Emilio, it would be cool to hear about him.
Well, everybody hates him now.
Yeah, I have been staying away from Facebook other than briefly checking our website or our Facebook page because I'm sure that Facebook is rioting.
Yeah, I can't imagine it's a happy place right now.
Yeah.
So, East. What did you think?
Well, so obviously the directional stuff comes up while Morgan and Rick are in the car. But I thought, okay, I haven't seen it yet. I've only got the title. I'm just going to look up the symbolic meanings of East, of the direction East, and see what it's associated with. and kind of go from there. So, I know it in terms of its associations in modern paganism, but I also looked up some associations with biblical associations and Native American spirituality, and it was pretty interesting. So in the Bible, the Garden of Eden is placed in the east. And the person who wrote this little segment that I read actually said that the garden becomes a place that is very ambivalent after the fall of man, that it's really a place that before Adam takes a bite of the apple, it represents safety and security. But after the apple, after the fall, it is sin and exile. And I thought that's really interesting. First of all, it's Easter. So, it makes sense to me that there's this really biblical reference. And then the other thing is I think it's kind of a look at the survivors and the saviors. It's a look at Alexandria versus the outside. So I just took a risk, but I think there's actually some meat to.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I was not thinking about it in that way, shape, or form. But now that you brought it up and said it like that, totally makes sense. So yeah, I get all that. My knee-jerk reaction when I pulled up my DirecTV and what is it here? Before the episode started, it said East, and I immediately thought Eastman.
Oh, God, I totally missed that, but it's so accurate.
Yeah, it was all Morgan callbacks to Eastman the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, Eastman. Oh, yeah, okay, cool. It's Morgan. I'm going to get pissed off at Morgan again. And then it was like, tracks pointed east, but it's also very controversial. Or it's not controversial, but I guess it's the two people jockeying for position on each other, the whole Rick and Morgan.
Right, the juxtaposition of Morgan and Rick.
Yes, juxtaposition. He just said it appears she went east.
So the other thing that I wanted to say about East, and it kind of leads into this, so East as exile is the absence of good. She's going nowhere good if she's headed east.
That, and you can link that even to one of Morgan's statements. Because there is no right anymore.
Right.
It's just what, now I got to find it in my notes. I was jumping around. There's just no right anymore. It's what's going to bring you down.
And I thought it was super interesting. We're kind of going ahead to the rotting potpourri, but that he looked at Rick and was like, it's going to bring you down. I know you. Mm-hmm. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's good. Good East. Man, whole bunch of stuff there.
I know. So I'm going to be lame and just foist a couple more things off on you. So in Celtic tradition or pagan tradition, the East represents new growth and new beginnings. It represents rebirth. So I think it's really interesting that we're looking at our group going into this whole new arc. I think it's going to be an incredibly painful arc for some, and I think that our group is going to have to grow a lot.
Yeah, I think it makes a good point too that way. And there's a whole bunch of meanings, but yeah, it's going to be painful, and everyone's going to change.
Yeah. So it really does hold true in that sense of the word as well, because we really are talking about new beginnings. And, in the tarot, I'm going to get kind of out here on you. In tarot cards, the East and death represent not necessarily a physical death, but new beginnings and changes. So it's just kind of interesting to me.
Another multiple meaning episode.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes it takes me a while to hook into them, but they really do a pretty good job of naming the episodes.
So let's hit it.
Go for it.
All right. So my epic it's weak, but it speaks for itself. The epic is going to be that remaining savior, the older guy who got shot in the shoulder.
Okay.
Picked up her necklace.
So I was going to look up the symbolism of the rosary and kind of more information about the rosary because we saw it throughout the episode.
I think it is going to be the bargaining chip. It is going to be what opens the gates of Alexandria.
Oh, interesting.
They showed him taking it for a reason. Because now, just like if you would show Daryl's crossbow, you're like, oh, you mean this guy? And then they would see it. And now they can hold that up and they're going to know, oh, that's Carol's necklace.
Yeah, nothing is throwaway. They absolutely did it for a reason. I did not pick up on that. That's pretty cool.
So that's my epic. It was kind of weak, but...
Well, you rated it 2 out of 5, so I can see that you were kind of struggling to find an epic. That's fair. So my epic actually has very little to do with this episode. In the sneak peek that we got right at the end of the episode before Talking Dead, we got the first look at Lucille.
Mm-hmm. That was pretty neat.
She's perfect. They did such a good job.
It was really cool.
Yeah. And the other thing is, and this came up on the it's related only in that it's Negan, but this came up on the Talking Dead, and I had missed it. Apparently, the gun that Carl picked up and was looking at the inscribing on the gun.
Yep, it was Lucille. It was
a baseball bat. Yeah.
So then that makes you go, okay, so just so everyone's aware, when Carl was in the armory, you only seen him for 5 seconds this episode, he was looking at this gun, and it just had these, to me, it looked like scratches. I couldn't really make too much of it. I'm like, it looked like a fish, kind of like. I'm like, why did they draw a fish?
It looked like a pattern, of some sort, but I agree. I couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah, so then they had Denise Huth, who was an executive producer. She said it was a bat. And that was inscribed on there. And, well, yeah, it may or may not have come from the Saviors. Carl just picked up the gun with Lucille bat on it. Is Carl going to get the club?
I don't think so.
He's kind of outgrown his role. And when they came to Hilltop, Jesus said they killed a 16-year-old boy.
Okay, that's fair. But I still think, I'm thinking it's going to be Glenn or Carol. And I'm not thinking Daryl anymore just because of the way we ended tonight. I'm sure we'll get more into that. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so what's your fail?
Well, my fail was just pretty much in keeping with my comment at the beginning of the recording, which is that I really did feel like this episode was filler. I mean, I understand, again, we've talked about this before, that they have to kind of move the plot forward. But I really expected with where we're at in the season for this to be filled with tension and maybe even a death, even though I've kind of said, no, I think it's going to hold their cards until the end, but something, I don't know, just something to hook us in more. I was not hooked into this episode.
I was not either. I was playing games, so I'm not going to lie. I was playing games on my phone.
I maintained, but as soon as the Talking Dead came on, I started washing dishes.
So my fail is that nobody sees the flawed logic here in the circle from Morgan. I didn't kill the wolf. The wolf came here. I captured him in the basement. He took a prisoner. He saved Denise.
He endangered Denise in the first place.
Time out, dumbass. Wow. And then Denise saved Carl. And then Rick just had that look on his face. I thought Rick was going to kill him.
Did ya?
I thought Rick was going to draw his gun and shoot him. Kaboom. I'm like, oh my God, kill him. Oh my God, kill him. Because he just had that look of disgust and like he just ate a turd.
I am down there with you, man. His facial expressions while they were in the car together, he just looked bored, pissed. I mean...
I can't believe I'm in this car with you and not killing you.
Denise Huth, the producer that you mentioned earlier, someone asked her if it was a callback to Shane and Rick being in the car, season 2, that episode 18 Miles Out. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, I can see that, except this time Rick is in Shane's position.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, you see that kind of borne out in the way that he talks to Morgan and in his overall response to everything that they run into.
Yeah, so... As he's going through, and then he kills Carl, and then he was okay with it. Like, oh my God, you're right. You saved my son. Wait a second. You were with the leader of the wolves. You let him go.
You let him capture the only doctor.
Yes. If you didn't keep him prisoner, Denise never would have been in that position.
Exactly.
So stop this circle nonsense. You letting him live also let the wolves come back. Because who's to say if you didn't kill him around the campfire while you were drinking your cocoa that night, that the wolves wouldn't have just completely scattered because they weren't exactly... Yeah, they're leaderless, so then people just start fighting between themselves, and then people are just like, screw this, we're out of here. So, just wait a second. Like, that flawed logic is what is extremely frustrating for me, for the fail in this, is that circle is garbage. No, it doesn't work that way, because if you didn't keep him prisoner, you would have never had to bring Denise to him, to put him in that situation, to put her life in danger in that situation, to do all of that stuff.
I agree.
So had he just been killed, that would have been the end. Denise would have been alive the whole time. She never would have been put in that position, and she still would have been there to save Carl's life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we got nowhere. Flawed logic.
We still haven't seen Morgan on the horse. So that must happen next episode, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe, unless we're missing it from somewhere, but I don't know.
I think I'd notice.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
So my epic fail was just the whole idea of hubris, the whole idea that pride goeth before a fall.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about Rick's, we're not going to lose. We're going to hang on to this place. We're going to win. And then you just watch everybody who is powerful flood out of Alexandria in different ways. So once again, they leave Alexandria largely unprotected. They're supposedly going to be triumphant and not lose things and hang on to everything, but they leave the place that they're trying to keep safe.
That is constantly under watch.
Yeah.
So the line was, Rick's like, it's okay, we'll end it. And he says, the world is ours and we know how to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Every time, how do you not see this pattern? Every time you let your guard down and you get complacent, people die. Because it happens again. I mean, it happened 3 times this season,
mm-hmm.
and it's doing it again. Like, these the saviors are out there. You know this, and they have numbers on their side. You know this. So the fact that everyone's just kind of lounging around and just plowing through the food, like, we're just living paycheck to paycheck, and we're never going to stop ourselves to get out of this grind, is we're just going to keep spending and spending and spending until that last penny. And then we're going to get hoping another paycheck comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Very frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I agree with you. That's what's driving me nuts. So my epic fail is the lack of Jesus in the Hilltop community.
Oh, that's a good point. They just kind of flashed Hilltop at us in that one episode, and now nothing.
Jesus was a big deal, and everyone's like, oh my God, yes. And he has been just completely non-existent since he took his person back from that camp,
mm-hmm.
or back from that outpost. Now, how have they not had these conversations about, no, Negan looks like this, and he has a baseball bat with barbed wire. No, Negan looks like this. Oh, we didn't kill Negan. Oh, crap. What are they talking about? They said these people look like Negan, and there were more people. And how have they not had these conversations of, hey, you know what? Maybe we should just move your guys in with us, because we know they're coming. We know this is going to happen. He's going to be really upset. So something bad's going to happen here, guys. Like, something really bad's going to happen. How have they not had these conversations with Jesus in the Hilltop community? It's very frustrating to me.
The other thing that's interesting about that is that the introduction of Jesus was such a big thing, and then to kind of let that burn away.
Yeah, you lost the momentum on his character.
Yeah.
So for people who aren't very familiar with the comic book or anything like that, if he were to pop up, would you really even recognize him or remember his impact that he had that many episodes ago, 6 episodes ago?
I think he was pretty well featured in the episode where they took over the Survivors Outpost, or Saviors Outpost, and put all those saviors down. But I agree. I mean, I think it really mutes the impact of Jesus with his entry into this story.
So that was my epic. That was my epic fail.
Oh, that was my epic fail. Was it yours too?
Yeah, the lack of Jesus in Hilltop.
Oh, okay. So mine was the overall pride goeth before a fall idea. Yep. Yours was the lack of Jesus in Hilltop. Okay, I'm caught up now.
All right, cool. We're gonna start recording now.
Right. There you go. Don't even make jokes like that, man. I've been known to do that before. So, what's that slimy stuff on your shoe?
Man, that is the rotten potpourri. We need some sound effects.
We do. That'd be really good. Okay, so go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so one of the things that really just kind of had me was that they're flashing all these little groups of people together again. You got the Glenn and Maggie in a shower, and like he's washing her, and then he sees the bruises where she was getting kicked while they were captive, you know, and they just have their little moment. And then Sasha and Abe changing pose, and she gives him a cigar. And then there's Rosita over there, and it's like, whoops.
Yeah.
That's awkward. You know, just that little Rick and Michonne then, it just, they're starting to show these people, so they're starting to foreshadow. And again, I keep thinking, okay, well, this person's going to get it. No, this person's going to get it. And then I kind of go back to, well, maybe now it's this person. So I'm driving myself up a wall here with this stuff.
So I've got to tell you something about the shower scene. My husband looked at it, and when Maggie started to kind of tear up, and first of all, I was like, oh my God, the shower is symbolic of all these tears, right? But then my husband looked her back and saw her crying, and he said, she's miscarried. So although it had not happened, it was apparently good enough foreshadowing that, you know, my husband nailed it. I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if that's really how that's going to play out. You know, if that's what she really does, if she does miscarry and stuff like that. It'll be, who knows how it's going to play out. We were always kind of wondering. But now if it does, then people won't be so surprised when she gets a bat to the skull.
Do you think she's going to get it?
I said that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think it could be anybody, man.
It can be anybody but Glenn. Like, if they do Glenn, they'll just be like, what? See,
I don't think Glenn's off the hook.
You don't think so?
I don't.
Like, you went through all these fake deaths all the way through this season with Glenn, only then to have him die.
And I almost think that is like, okay, we're bringing this storyline to an end.
He's the only Asian guy, too.
I don't know. There was that Asian guy very briefly from The Saviors, and I thought, Negan's inclusive? So one of the things that I loved right away was the choice of the Johnny Cash song. Yeah. Did you listen to the words?
Not too particularly, no, but I knew who it was.
It just kept saying, it's all over, and it was about somebody leaving. And they flashed on Carol and Tobin, but then they also flashed on all of these couples who right now are happy and together, but we don't really know what is in it for them in the long run. You know, what they're going to face in the long run. So I thought the song was a really good choice.
Which, while we're talking about her and Tobin, Thomas Reese threw up on there. Tobin must really suck in the sack. So bad it made Carol sneak out in the middle of the night. Looks like my prediction is still in play, and Brian was wrong. Again, I'm doubling down. Carol will die at the hands of Negan. Thank you. Good night.
That was a hilarious post. I think you probably saw my response then.
Yeah. No marital aids. Poor Tobin. Yeah, I'm not wrong yet.
You've got 90 minutes left.
The whole idea of a bold prediction is that it's a long shot, but it's still got till the end of the season.
Hey, and I'm not happy about it, but my bold prediction that no one would die in this episode came true. Although now I'm really wishing I was wrong.
Yeah, now you want to be wrong.
Did you notice that the letter written on Carol wrote was written on a page from her kill book?
Oh, no, I did not.
I just thought that was kind of a cool little touch. I don't think it really meant a whole lot, but it was a good touch.
So it's just the other part about people being very complacent. Like when everyone's just kind of running out on each other, and that was very frustrating.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Carol's gone. Okay, so then out the door goes Rosita and Glenn and Michonne and Daryl and Morgan and Rick, and it's just like, wait, what? Why? Like, how is nobody going? Wait,
yeah,
we need you here.
Over just half that of one their person is gone.
Yeah, their fighters are gone. Everyone is left as the baker, you know, and the bread maker.
Right. I mean, they've still got Maggie, but Maggie's got some issues, and they've still got Abe, but, he's off smoking a cigar somewhere.
One thing that's bothering me, and it's with this, is that there's no, quote, rank and file in the community.
Right. Or we're not seeing them.
Yeah, people are still doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm doing this. And I'm going out, boom, going. Nope, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. There doesn't have to be a figurehead, so to speak, but there has to be some sort of community-based approach to decision making, and it's okay for some people to come and go when it's just like, well, whatever. People just can do whatever the hell they want to do. And we're starting to see that more and more as people are just like, whatever, I'm going, I'm leaving too. Well, I'm leaving too. And well, nope, I'm leaving too. Mm-hmm. What the hell is going on here? Just time out for a second.
Yeah, there's no organization, no rhyme or reason to what they do other than the watch shifts. You're right. I mean, there's not really any structure within the community.
Because we thought Maggie was going to be that person.
Right.
We thought Maggie was going to be that patriarch who was going to really put in place some regulation on the community and when we can and cannot leave and who can and cannot leave. And you have to leave in groups of 2 or 3 and you have to do these kind of things. But it's just very willy-nilly now that everyone's got some food in their belly. Everyone just, whatever, man, just let it go.
Yeah. They've lost some of that cohesion, but I think they're going to get the hell scared out of them and they're going to be a cohesive unit again very shortly.
With some losses.
Yeah, because they're going to have to take it seriously, and the way that they're going to be forced to take it seriously is heartbreaking.
So what else? What do you got for some potpourri?
Let's see. So back to more of the biblical imagery, but I was looking at the scene with Rick and Michonne in the bed, and I was still kind of thinking about East and Eden, and then I thought, the apple and Eve, and this is before the fall, but this is close to the fall.
That's true.
So I kind of thought
very true.
Imagery was interesting since I was already going down that road.
I wonder if they specifically chose an apple for that reason.
It does go back to, I don't think stuff is throwaway.
No, and there was a line from Chris Hardwick on The Talking Dead that said, if they took the time to focus on it,
right,
it means something, he was in reference with Carl and the gun handle.
That's right. I was going to ask you what that was in reference to, because I remember him saying that.
Yeah, and they said if they took time to focus on it, it doesn't, it means something, and that was the only time you seen Carl, and he was only mentioned in one other scene when Rick said, tell Carl I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many times has Carl heard that?
Yeah, no kidding.
Let's see. I also thought that, even though Carol did not want to kill and was really trying not to kill, the gun up her sleeve was pretty cool. Yeah,
how she had sewed it into the coat.
I totally missed that until the guest on The Talking Dead said that. I didn't realize what she was sewing in, and then I put it together when they were talking about it on The Talking Dead. But that was really cool. It was a good way to conceal it, a good way to not show it when she showed, oh, hey, I've only got the knife, I'm not carrying anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just had that, even though she's leaving because she doesn't want to kill anymore, mm-hmm. She's also knows that at some point she will have to defend herself.
She's a practical version of Morgan.
Right. So the one thing that I would like to point out is her hyperventilating.
Again, yeah.
I don't think that's to convince others.
No, I think this time it's real.
She's afraid of what she's become.
Oh,
she's afraid of herself.
Yeah.
And she's battling her own kind of demons. And she doesn't want to be the person she is. And she just, like an addict, just begging for another hit because they're so upset with who they are and what they've become. They can see all the damage that they're doing, but they have to do what they have to do to get by and live to the next day.
So question for you. We didn't really get an answer about what was going on with Carol. So is she going to be captured by the Saviors? Is she going to somehow get one or two of our people who we know are hostage safely out of the Savior's hands, what's going to happen with Carol? Is Carol going to meet Lucille?
No, I don't think she's going to meet Lucille. I don't think so. So I was wrong. I thought we were just never going to see her again. Just
I haven't given up on it though, because they could potentially have her captive.
They could have her captive, or she could just not be anywhere around.
Yeah.
She's out walking by herself now.
She could be one of those casualties of the apocalypse where you knew someone and then you never see them again.
I don't think let's not go that far, but I still want her just to go away and then come back when it's all done. Now, if we see her kind of come back and kind of pull a Terminus thing where she saves a bunch of people again, then I'm going to kind of raise the BS flag again and say, come on. Everyone was all up J.J. Abrams' butt for reshooting episode 4 as episode 7 for Star Wars. They got to do the same thing here then. I don't think that's how it's going to be. I don't think she's going to come back and save the day. I think if we do see her again, but the guy took the necklace. I don't think she's going to come into play.
I think that you're right. It would be more powerful if she came back at a different point. Yeah, I don't know. I think they would lose a lot if they did not somehow have Melissa McBride go out with a big bang. If, not literal, of course, but if that's what the trajectory is, I think they would lose a lot if they just suddenly disappeared Carol and she never came back. And I think there would be a lot of Carol fans who would be really angry.
I'm really hoping we talked about this the other week, that we see that comic book version of Carol come back where let's say she does wind up doing some kind of saving and killing of some saviors and save someone, and she just still can't deal with it, and then she just leans into a walker.
That'd be a pretty cool way. I mean, that would be a big blow.
She does all this, she saves the day, and, people are just like, oh my God, Carol, this and that, and she's bawling, and maybe Daryl's like, come on, Carol, let's leave, and she just kind of leans back into a walker, and Daryl watches her get ripped to shreds.
That would just kill him. I mean, especially considering he's carrying so much angst over losing Denise. That would be devastating for him.
What if Daryl kills himself?
That would be an interesting turn for his character, especially because he was so derisive about that person who opted out in season 2. Remember, I think they found the guy hanging from a tree, and he was so sarcastic about people who chose to opt out. I'm still not sure that he would go there. Would
you, as a Daryl Dixon fan, be mad if that's how? Like, not just like all of a sudden he's just driving on the motorcycle and he gets off and he blows his brains out. But if it's like this giant scene and he's lost more people and he's sitting there and there's bodies and blood everywhere and he just kind of, he's crying and he kind of just looks up and like he just watched Carol get ripped to shreds and he's sitting there and like he just raises the gun and kaboom, and then that's it.
I got to tell you, I had never seen the guest that they had on The Talking Dead tonight. Before tonight, I know she's been on several times because they've talked about it. Yeah. But I've got to go along with what she said. People die. I can't get angry about any death anymore because this is the zombie apocalypse. People are going to die. I may grieve and I may say, wow, that really sucked the way that person went out. And I'm really sad that they decided to take that person out. But I think it's pointless to get angry. And I think it's pointless to riot or jump ship because somebody dies. That's part of the story.
I agree. I don't get mad when somebody dies. I get mad when somebody doesn't die.
Oh, that's funny. Let's see. What else have you got?
How in the hell did Daryl get snuck up on?
The tracker? You mean? How in the hell did Daryl the tracker get snuck up on?
Yeah. It's not like he was distracted at that point because it was him. And then again, why are you not watching your back?
Right.
Why is Rosita not looking backwards to make sure nobody else is sneaking up on them? And
is he actually not distracted in the moment, but distracted in his mind? I mean, maybe he's just so fixated
Yeah.
finding Carol and getting revenge for Denise's death and getting Dwight back because he tried to help Dwight tons of times and this is what he gets from Dwight. Maybe he's distracted in a way that's bigger.
Maybe he, yeah, I think he's just kind of blinded by everything. So it's kind of frustrating to see Daryl get snuck in like this. So let's just talk about the shot then.
Okay. So is Daryl dead?
No. No way.
I don't think so either. I think it would be another waste of a big moment if they took him out this way.
Well, I think that's why they left the audio in there.
Mm-hmm. Where Dwight says, you're going to be okay.
You're going to be all right.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's specifically why they left that in there. Because it wasn't, they didn't want another whole Glenn thing for a week.
Right.
That was in there for a reason. Deliberately as a result. Because you never even see the guy move his lips. So if they're like, oh, because all this is filmed, when that episode, like, oh crap, Kay, can you come back in the studio for a second and let's just rip off this line right here. Just say this into the microphone. We're good.
So do you like it when they break the fourth wall and do the blood splatter on the camera?
As long as it's fine, yeah.
Yeah,
it's one of the things where as long as they use it, use it sparingly. Yeah. That's okay. So like when they did this, that's cool. I don't mind because it was kind of an impact and kaboom. And then you're just like, oh crap, they just shot Daryl. Or did they?
Right. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Daryl was shot. I mean, just the trajectory of the blood and the trajectory of the bullet, I really do think it was Daryl who got shot. But, it'll be interesting. Of course, now we don't have a doctor. and he's still in the hands of the saviors anyway, so...
Well, there's one in Hilltop, isn't there?
Yeah, there's that doc who's the OB, who, if he's an OBGYN, he's got surgical skills, so there you go.
And it's just a bullet to the shoulder.
Right.
But here's the thing. They have to kill somebody to make an example, but yet... I guess they killed Denise. I was going to say they got Denise, I guess. They're going to
kill somebody else to make an example. They're going to show the whole group.
Because, I mean, Alexandria's got about 35 to 40 savior deaths on their hands, and they've only gotten away with one, Denise, at this point. So there's got to be an exchange for flesh at some point.
There will be, and I think our group is going to pay big. I mean, I still think Daryl is possibly on the chopping block because he now is going to be weakened by this injury.
Well, and I think it would just be Dwight's personal thing of, it needs to be this guy.
Yeah, we'll make an example of this guy.
Yeah, he's the strongest out of the whole group here. It needs to be him.
Okay, so speaking of circles and speaking of things coming back around, that really puts paid to Morgan's philosophy as well, because if Daryl is killed essentially at the hands or at the urging of the person that he tried to help repeatedly...
You betcha. It's the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
This is someone who I tried to save 2 and 3 times, and he came back to capture and kill us all. Mm-hmm. So, flawed logic. It doesn't work that way. Well,
and I've got to say it again, the whole Morgan thing. I'm so sick of hearing all life is precious. I'm so sick of hearing people can come back. I used to think people could come back, but I think our group is irrevocably changed now. I think there's more.
I think Rick cracked.
Yeah.
He cracked.
Way bigger than when he was on the telephone.
Well, I think he cracked in Morgan's favor.
Do you?
I think when he told him that, and then the wolf saved Carl's life. See, he saved his life because we're forgetting about the flawed logic of it. If you wouldn't have kept, none of that would happen. Then he still would have been able to save him. But the way he got it there was that then she was alive to kill. See.
So I was surprised by his decision to leave Morgan out and let Morgan continue to search.
But I wasn't, because he knows Morgan's all right. I think in that moment, that BS circle of life answer hit Rick, resonated with him, and that's why he kind of tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, Michonne did steal that protein bar.
That was a pretty good line.
So that was them like, all right, we're all right now. I get it. And that's why he was walking away. I think he was walking away because, okay, we're buds now again. I understand your point of view. I'll try not to kill all the time.
Interesting. I'm not sure that I saw that, but that's an interesting
I think he cracked in the wrong way.
So I have to tell you, speaking of throwing the BS flag on things, I've got to throw the BS flag on Rick saying, I don't take chances anymore, which we've heard repeatedly, but...
Then why the hell are you outside?
Right, that is flawed logic too, because it goes right back to that everybody floods out of Alexandria and leaves it vulnerable, but you don't take chances anymore?
And why do we not have forward observing points? Like, yes, we have people at the gate, but why do we not have people a mile down the road
with a walkie-talkie?
Yes, with something of, hey, there's 3 trucks of bad guys coming your way. Because they're watching them. That's how the saviors... no, actually, I don't think you're Nancy from Montclair. You were from somewhere afterwards. What's that place? 12.75 miles down the road? Alexandria. Yeah, I bet you're from Alexandria.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly know. They've clearly been watching the Alexandria settlement for a long time.
Yeah, and they even said, it's that place down the road has cars just like that one with sticks sticking out of it, too. I bet that's where you came from. And that's when she started crying and doing all her thing.
Don't make me do it. Yeah.
So they're constantly under surveillance, and they have no idea because they can't see past the end of their nose.
So I think that's... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I would say that's just what's frustrating is how do we not have someone on patrol?
So I think the good that's going to come out of what I expect to be a horrific finale is that this group is going to be forced to step up their game.
Well, he was talking about that. Rick was talking about that. They were talking about it in bed because she was saying, he's like, oh, I know they're ready. I know they're ready. We're all coming together. I've seen what they're capable of. So he's talking everybody up in this episode. So that way when it does and you see someone like Tobin actually take a shot and everyone kind of grabbing guns, it's not like, oh, whatever, now they're just warriors now.
Right.
He's kind of setting that up, I think. I think they're kind of planting that seed a little bit of, I've already seen what they're capable of. No, they can do this. And they made a lot of references back to Hilltop again in this episode about the weapons and stuff like that. So...
Okay, so 2 questions for you. Number 1, are we going to see Jesus or anybody from the Hilltop in the finale of this season?
Well, so I sure hope so. Just because I was thinking that maybe when they came back from killing the saviors, they would find Hilltop just completely leveled. So I was kind of wanting them to bridge those 2 communities together and kind of mash them in. But... you'd think we'd have to see at least Jesus, right?
You'd think. You would think. Because I think that's going to be a really important way to pull the storyline of Hilltop and the storyline of Jesus back into the show.
Yeah, because as of right now, though, they're just trading partners now.
Yeah.
And they've lost that kind of story momentum that linked them together because now they don't. Oh, you know what? Maggie's going to go to Hilltop.
I think she is going to go to Hilltop. I mean, I think that...
with the whole miscarriage thing.
Right. Either she's going to go and she's going to have that doc evaluate her, or she's going to get through this, not miscarry, and go so she can be close to that doc. I think that's how we're going to have the transition of Maggie to Hilltop, and they'll draw Hilltop more deeply into the story.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Because as soon as that guy puts down the transducer, they'll pick up a heartbeat to know if it's alive or not.
Right.
So and then he'll probably tell, well, it's close. You got to be on bed rest. You have to take it easy. Too much stress. Because even she said when she was getting the haircut, hey, that explains everything.
I know.
Because when I seen the hair on the floor, I'm like, oh my God, Diane's going to be so happy.
I said to my husband, oh my God, they explained the haircut. And he looked at me like, what?
So she said, she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Why are you cutting your hair? She goes, because I still have things to do or something like that. Or I have to keep going.
I have to keep going. I wrote that. There you go.
I have to keep going and I don't want anything getting in my way.
Yeah. Which is really interesting. I mean, this is Maggie stripping herself down to bare bones and making herself really tough.
Yeah, I'm getting the hair out of my eyes so
Yeah.
I can shoot better. I can kill people better.
I think overall that also just holds up more of the we're going to have a big loss. Because what happens when people lose like this? They strip themselves down to bare bones.
Yeah.
So I think, in a way, she doesn't even know it, but she's getting ready for a giant loss, whoever we lose.
Well, we need 5 to die.
Wait a minute, I thought it was 6. Or did you say 4 after we lost 2 in this season, Jesse and Denise?
I thought I had 5 to go because I said 6 total.
So
and Denise went down.
If we count Jesse, because you did bring up that we should count Jesse.
Well, I won't count Jesse.
Oh, so you're saying 5.
So 5 have to die.
Okay, I'm going to say 2. I'm going to say it's going to be Glenn and Carol.
Glenn and Carol.
Yeah.
All right, so if I have to put a name to my bold prediction of 5.
I'm going to write these
names,
down.
Names. Yeah, please write these down. Because I don't save my Word docs as I'm doing this. I will pick Abraham.
Oh, because all of a sudden he's happy?
Yeah. I will pick Abraham. I will pick Daryl. That's been my long-standing since the season began.
Okay.
Abe, Daryl. Man, I want to say maybe even Rosita.
You got 2 more.
Spencer.
Okay.
Spencer's going to go. And is Father Gabriel going to get the bat?
I don't know, man. They really look like they're featuring him big time in the next episode, considering the sneak peek that they had on the Talking Dead. I was like, ooh, he's a ranger. He's a cleric. He's really a tactician.
So there's my 5.
Okay.
If I had to put names to them, well, okay. Like, Tobin doesn't count to me as a big 5. I mean, like, I would write Tobin in there, easy peasy, and take out Rosita. Let me put Tobin in and take out Rosita.
Okay. So if the producers follow your train of logic, Abe, Daryl, and Gabe, because of his work on The Wire, they're pretty expensive actors, so they're going to have a lot more for, special effects, new cast.
Yes.
Not that Glenn and Carol are cheap by any stretch of the imagination.
So who do I got?
You have Abe, Daryl, Spencer, Gabe, and Tobin.
So you want to hear my logic behind Spencer?
Sure.
So in Des Moines, Iowa, we have Wizard World Con and all that stuff. Last year, so our con is May 14th, 15th, and 16th, or 13th through 15th, something. It's on my anniversary. Let's just say that.
So you don't spend much time at the con.
Well, I think we're going to get some press passes. I think we're going to do some interviews,
cool.
And the old Hercules is going to be there.
Oh, Kevin Sorbo?
Yes, and my wife is like, "Oh, well, now
I'll take.
Hold on, let's not be hasty." I'm like,
anniversary gift.
Yeah, I'm like, you can meet Kevin Sorbo on your anniversary. I think that's a pretty damn cool present. Just saying. So last year was our first year Wizard World was coming, and that's a huge deal for Des Moines. That was huge. So they were announcing guests back in October and November for the May show. One of those people was Beth, Emily Kinney. And I went, she's dead.
Yeah.
Because in May, you're filming. You're getting ready to start filming
for
the next season. And Spencer is our Walking Dead person for Wizard World.
Okay.
So I went, Spencer's dead.
I can take that. I'll believe that.
I think the majority of our deaths are going to come for those who are already at Alexandria.
I think so too. I mean, I think that our example death, the saviors really demonstrating how tough and scary they are, that's going to be somebody who they've got captive.
But
I think
what if it's two? What if it's a two-pronged attack? What if they kill someone in front of the group that they have
that they're using as distraction?
And then, so you've got 2 groups. You've got one group, that exploratory group, who's just at the gate. And then you've got Negan, who's got the captives. So Negan kills one and the other people kill one.
Sure, I think it's highly possible.
Because when they met the people on the street, the biker gang, he's like, we just kill one of you to make an example.
Yeah.
And then he was going to kill him, and then the rocket came in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not far-fetched. That's what can happen. So this exploratory group goes there to kind of feel them out. Father Gabriel, he's in charge of the community while everybody's gone. He's giving them a rundown. Well, I'm going to kill the priest. Here's how serious I am. And voila, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Or they kill a couple because maybe Tobin got ballsy and fired back, and Spencer too. And Spencer goes out to try to negotiate.
Yeah, I did see that little thing in his in the preview
It's
where
just
he
like
was
straight
talking
up
about
coward.
negotiating. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, well, if there's time, should we negotiate?
Yeah.
And it's like, tell him, wait for me.
Yeah.
I got something for him. So, yeah, that's my logic behind Spencer, is that he's coming to Wizard World in May. And they should be, because you would think he would be one that's starting filming of the next season. He would be in those groups of people that they need. And if he was dead...
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, if he was dead, he wouldn't be there.
And I have to give credit to The Talking Dead tonight, by the way, because they had a surprise guest.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody died.
Yep. So, yeah, it was Sasha, by the way.
Yeah.
Sneeko Martin Green.
Beautiful lady.
So that's it. That's kind of that's my 5 deaths that we need to accumulate to make my bold prediction correct. I got to double down on my bets here. So yeah, there we go. That's all I got. I mean, we made this a lot longer episode than I thought we were going to.
You thought it would be?
Yeah.
So everybody bear with me. We have a water pump underneath the house, and that's what you're hearing because, we never have a clean podcast.
No.
So we've got some listener feedback, and first I just want to give a shout out to my friend Michelle, who started listening to us, and she said, it's like having a conversation with you, except I talk back to you and you don't talk back to me.
Except my voice is that of a guy.
So I'm really glad she's following. Welcome, Michelle. We had some conversation with Laura Willie Swink, and we had a comment from Christine Bowman. There was a Negan trailer that had been leaked, and I was like, I'm not posting it here, but if people want to look at it, it's out there. And she said, it's posted on a Walking Dead page I follow. I scrolled through it so fast. Thanks for keeping it spoiler free for those trying to avoid it. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, we definitely aren't going to talk about spoilers on this show at all in any way, shape, or form. And as you can tell, we've kind of started to leave some of the comic book stuff out. Just because I haven't gone any farther. We're farther ahead in the TV show than I was in the comics. Mm-hmm. So my knowledge database is kind of out there, and I didn't like doing that anyways. That was something when I was a listener. I hated when they always, the podcast was 40 minutes comparison to the comic book, and that wasn't what I was really about. So we won't spoil anything, promise, and we won't post spoilers. And if someone does post spoilers,
we'll try to
our
get it
page,
down.
We'll try and get it down, but if it's out there, hit us up on the messenger boards and just make it known that it's out there.
So do you want to say I posted a picture of my new sneakers, which have Rick Grimes firing his Colt Python?
Bang, bang.
My husband's told me he's going to get me a Colt Python, and I said, well, that's okay. I guess you get the katana.
There you go, then. Perfect.
Let's see. So I did want to pull up what Laura said, and then I think we'll probably say goodnight unless you have something else you want to say.
Nope.
Let me just look at her comment. So Brian Dye, thanks for the podcast once again. I have a few bits of feedback. What's new, hey? Dye, I'll say I'm not a big fan of how they changed Morgan's character too, but I cannot put all of the blame on him for Carol's change of heart and departure. Carol is too strong-willed to be altered by a couple of talks with Morgan. She's been having a crisis of conscience, in my humble opinion, since season 5 when she almost left the group after Terminus. And when she tried to shoot Noah, but Daryl stopped her, only to later keep Daryl from abandoning him. Morgan did hold up a mirror to Carol that made her question her decisions, but I really think it was Paula, metaphorically the reflection of where Carol was headed, who rattled her the most. However, I do not think Carol is abandoning the group. I think the letter is a ruse so she can go on her own solo mission to find and confront the saviors. I'm glad you both felt Eugene was partially mad at Abraham for the way he treated Rosita. I felt that too, but I haven't heard any other podcast mention it. Di, you mentioned that Daryl has a lot of trauma he has to deal with. As he is my favorite character, I've done way too much thinking about his possible backstory. Do you think perhaps in addition to the physical abuse he suffered as a child, he might have been sexually abused, hence his inability to have a relationship with anyone? It's been my theory for some time. Bri, you mentioned Daryl was a junkie, but Norman Reedus says at one time the producers wanted him to play a junkie like Merle, and he said no. He wanted to be the kid who grew up around it all but utterly rejected it. I'm so glad the producers agreed with him because it makes his character so much more interesting and tragic. And then I said I absolutely agree that Daryl experienced sexual abuse. Wasn't the book that he picked up in Coda specifically about sexual abuse. I think it explains his reluctance to open up to anyone. I think my animosity to Morgan is coming from how big an impact he's had on our group, and he's a big part of Carol's doubts. Your point about Terminus is well taken, though. She was not planning to stay with her group once she rode to the rescue in Terminus. I think the master of the Tennessee top hat is finally going to get some. Rosita has to figure out how to let down Spencer the punk gently. She points out that it's a book just about childhood abuse, not specifically about sexual abuse, but she was thinking about the scars on Daryl's back when Merle and Daryl were fighting.
Yeah. And he says, I didn't know he, and then it was...
Yeah. And she's kind of feeling bad for Spencer, but she's loving Rosita.
Spence. So I think it was Thomas that had the idea of what if Carol was the mole? And now how interesting. So I didn't post on this, and I just really wanted to think this through. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to think it out. And I promised I said I was done, but I wasn't. Changed my mind. That what if somebody was a mole for this group?
Well, it would certainly be in keeping with Rick's whole, we know how to take this world and we're going to take it and, we're prepared. It would make sense that they would have a mole.
We haven't seen that yet.
Right.
We haven't seen it. Now, what if all of a sudden just Enid, who we kind of thought in regards to the wolves, Enid kind of just walks out and opens the gate for the saviors. And they're like, hey, welcome back. Yeah. And she was a savior the whole time.
Oh, God, wouldn't that be horrible?
And she's like, every time I used to sneak out, you guys just thought I was coming out here to be alone. Yeah. I used to sneak out here because I was passing notes to what was really going on. And they were waiting for us to get our farm and everything up and running. Then they were going to come take half of our stuff, and I was going to leave.
Can you imagine how complicated that would all make everything?
Well, it would also make people continue to re-examine what's going on inside their own walls. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't just be a free pass every time. It would be something that's ongoing. Or what if it was Spencer? What if Spencer just walked out and opened up the gate and was like, yeah, I met him out on a run, and once Mom died, this is kind of what I did. I went out and met them again. Something to that effect, right? It's a neat thing to think. I don't think anybody actually is.
Yeah.
But it would be funny if how we talked about, that there was a woman in charge of Negan, and that was that hard left turn.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We're still looking for the hard left turn.
That woman was Carol.
Interesting.
That would be neat. That would be pretty sick, actually.
Although the fact that Paula and Malls and Shell kind of acted like they had never met Carol.
Well, maybe she doesn't know who's really in charge.
That's possible, too.
Maybe only Negan is the one who knows that she's in charge.
That's possible, too. Yeah, Thomas Reese had a funny comment. He said, my God, Carol is Negan. It's a Tyler Durden twist. And then Art Moore was like, I think she might be Lucille. And then John Hazlett said, yep.
Yeah, it's just something fun to think about. I love thinking about stuff like this. Thank goodness for our group of people that listen to this and reach out and say, hey, what about this? Because I had never even considered that. But then it's one of those things where I was sitting there, you're laying in bed 4 days later and you're like, oh, man, how would this work? How could this conveniently get in there and make this work out? But I think there's room for it. There's some wiggle room, and I think it would be pretty damn cool if we had a mole at some point. It
would be a good twist.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that, I think, huh?
Yeah, I think we really talked about an episode that neither one of us really liked.
Yeah, that we gave twos to, and this is one of our longest ones. It's terrible.
That's funny.
Sorry, everybody. Next week is a 90-minute episode of The Walking Dead, so make sure that you prepare yourselves for that 90 minutes. We will record, and we will try and get it up on Monday morning. We're trying to do that now. We've got a little bit of technical difficulty, so if it isn't posted, shoot a message. Let us know that if it's not posted. Sometimes things go haywire, and sometimes things don't go through as planned. So other than that, everybody can take it one dead day at a time.
Better. It was better.
All right.